Good morning, game designers. Man, I was so bummed. So today, this is like the third time I wrote in the email in 2 weeks. I haven't been able to get my PowerPoints to load into OHS, which is kind of a bummer. So I logged out. I made you your own game design quiz review, just a quick one that I can go through. Hopefully this is going to kind of help you, give you some visuals to help you remember them on the quiz today. We'll see. Remember, your quiz is due by Friday, so not only should you take a look at this little quiz video that I'm about to send out, but you really should go back and read through, and just read is my underlined word. There's a lot of reading in this game design course, which is fine. That's good. But go back and read and pay attention to the bold words. It says that in the quiz, so I'm not giving you any hints there. But just check it out. So I'm going to go over a couple of them, though, and explain to you kind of the way that I wish that you would interpret them while you're reading. So let me put my phone on silent so we're not, you guys are not hearing it ring the whole time. And let's take a look at these terms. So this is your quiz 1 review. So here we go. So the first term is feedback. All right, and remember, a lot of these are those essential game elements that you need to learn. And a lot of these are going to seem like simple words that you know, but you have to be able to interpret them as far as how they relate to gaming. Okay, so feedback. Feedback is pretty much anything that you get back from any action. Okay, so that's not limited to physical actions. It could be limited to actions within the game. It could be things that anything you're getting back from the game because you as the player or your character do something. Okay, so meaning, and the easiest way to remember this is probably with a controller. We've all used a controller. Okay, so if you press a button on a controller, you're going to get feedback from the game. Something's going to happen. Okay, even if you don't see it, something happens in the code. That button press is registered. Okay, hidden registries and not seeing buttons mashed is actually how cheats are made, but we'll talk about that later in the year. But also, if you were to hit A, and let's say that Sonic were to jump in the air and land on a character and it were to die, then that is also a type of feedback, okay? So just remember, it's not just limited to us in the physical world. So the next one is play. All right, so play is this like general term that you're like, what? I mean, yeah, it's easy to define, but remember, play is anything that you do for entertainment that has some set of rules. Okay, so watching TV, maybe not necessarily, unless you put it within some kind of time frame, it's not considered play. Okay, but it has to have a set of rules and you have to be doing something. Okay, so gaming is definitely play. All right, it has a set of rules, has a set of things that you can and cannot do. All right, but remember, it's not just limited to things like gaming or gaming in this class. It could be anything. So we have hockey in this picture. It could be anything that has a set of rules that allow you to do something for entertainment. Okay, cooperative or competitive. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a lot this year because this is a huge decision to make as a game designer. Is your game going to be cooperative or competitive? Is it going to have aspects of both? All right, so the easiest way to remember cooperative is it's everyone working together. Okay, so cooperative play is anything you do for entertainment, has a set of rules, and that you're doing together. All right, you're trying to accomplish a goal together. And then competitive is obviously the complete opposite. Okay, competitive is all about trying to one up your the person that you're competing against, whoever that is. It could be in the online world. It could be an AI, which we're going to talk about in a second. But anyone that you are competing against. So remember, this is not limited to real people, okay? So it's not just about real people anymore. We have something called artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is like basically a brain built into the computer. So we talk about it's something that's self-learning. It's a computer or a computer player that's self-learning. It assumes things, it adapts, predicts, finds typical and untypical behavior of each cache point, or it analyzes and suggests most valuable decisions for the user. Okay, so it's an actual thinking computer. That's what an artificial intelligence is. Now in gaming, let me be very clear and to show you that actually in gaming, artificial intelligence is the equivalent of a toaster. Okay, so an artificial intelligence in gaming, while it is getting better, is not even close to this ideal definition of an artificial intelligence you have on the left. So just remember, it's kind of fake artificial intelligence, but we'll talk about that later in the year as well. Better and better algorithms are being developed every single day for artificial intelligence. So remember, I told you, if you want to be a billionaire, come up with an algorithm that perfectly mimics this definition on the left. and you will be a billionaire. So randomness. Randomness is really difficult to find, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. So randomness seems like an easy thing to think about, okay? It's just like, oh, well, it's just random, right? It's just 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. But problem is, true randomness is hard to find. And this is why, this is really the only form of true randomness, is the number 7. Okay, so the reason I put this up is there is an infinite amount of numbers, okay? Numbers do not end, period. There is no ending to our number system. So it's really, choosing a number is really the only form of true randomness in our world. And that's the only way to get true randomness in gaming, okay, is to use numbers. Because every other type of randomness in the world is really simply just pseudo-randomness. So pseudo-randomness is different because it's defined within some kind of parameter, okay? Remember this. In every video game you've ever played, if there's any type of randomness, it's actually pseudo-randomness because our computers cannot quantify infinity. They can't. They have no idea how to do infinity. Your brains can't even really quantify infinity. So we certainly can't develop computers that do it. Okay, so pseudo-randomness is randomness within some kind of parameter, meaning like a dice. So we talked about why like roulette and all these, you know, gambling games and stuff like that are randomness. They're actually pseudo-randomness, okay? So 1 through 9, if you had this 9-sided dice, or 10-sided dice, whatever this one is, would be pseudo-randomness. It's random within a set of parameters, which is 1 through 9. Okay, a regular dice is pseudo-randomness with the parameter 1 through 6. Okay, so it's not truly random. You cannot roll a dice, one dice, and get 7. You won't. Do it a billion times. I promise you, you won't get 7. If you do, send me a video and, you know, we'll have an argument about it. So, mastery. Mastery is this term that kind of like seems like it's not really connected to the stuff we've done in the first unit, but it is. All right, because this is like the goal of basically any gamer, but also anything in a game. And so I always think of Yoda. When I think of master, I think of Yoda. And so mastery is like true mastery of skill. That means 100%. Okay, no one is a master of anything. Okay, it's not really happened. So a lot of the things. So it's kind of funny. A lot of the definitions in game design are very like, you know, subjective. You can use the words in sentences and you can use the words in conversation and no one's going to question you. But the truth is, you'll never find true randomness and you'll never find any type of skill in gaming that is considered full mastery. Okay, everybody's going to screw up given an infinite number of chances. Okay, so, but this is the goal of a lot of gamers in games, and it's also the goal of a lot of things that we're going to develop into our games. We want the gamer to think that they are getting closer to something called true mastery. Okay, so strategy. Strategy is an easy one to define, and the best way is to think about is chess. Strategy is not only a plan to do something, but strategy is all about thinking ahead. Okay, it's how many moves can you think ahead. And remember, the best chess players think 10 to 15 moves ahead. All right, if you're like me, you may think 1-2 moves ahead because I'm not very good at chess, but that's the best way to think about strategy. Okay, now arguably the hardest term to define in gaming, or in our first unit for sure, is game mechanics. What in the world exactly are game mechanics? And the truth is, they totally vary in what they are, but I'm going to try to explain it with this little image that's a gear. Okay, and you can see my cursor, so I'm going to try to do this. Okay, if this gear turns this way, right, if it turns from clockwise from left to right, then this gear will turn this way. It will go counterclockwise. All right, that is a law of physics. It will happen. It will never happen in the other way. Okay, so when we turn this gear to the right, the little gear will turn to the left. All right, there's a set of rules in mechanics that says that this must happen. Okay, it's what we are allowed to do with these gears. All right, we're allowed to do 2 things with this gear setup right now. We're allowed to turn the big one left, and we're allowed to turn the big one right. And the feedback that we're going to get from that is that the little gear turns in the opposite direction. Those are the rules, and that's what we can do all right, with the gears, okay? So game mechanics, all right, and this is like an important, and I'm gonna like let me look exactly how I wrote this because I want to make sure it comes out right. All right, so how and when the player makes gameplay choices allowed by the rules are known as game mechanics, okay? So if we make choices in the game and they affect the game because they're allowed by the game, then that is considered part of game mechanics. So like I said, it's a difficult thing to define, but it's actually very easy to see. So for example, if you're playing Mario and you hit left on the joystick and you're running, and then you jump over something, and then you jump on a mushroom, and then you jump on something else, all of those things the game's allowing you to do are part of the mechanics, okay? Now something that wouldn't be part of those game mechanics is something it didn't allow you to do. But we'll talk about that later in the year. So just know that if a game allows you to do it, it's part of the mechanics, okay? So hopefully that's not like too complicated, but we'll see some examples next week and it'll be much easier. But anyway, so that's the last term for this quiz that I'm going to give you. Remember to go back and read in the OHS, check out all that stuff, rewatch this video a couple times. I hope these visuals stick in your brain and then you remember them when you see the terms on the quiz. But good luck with your first quiz. I hope you all do amazing. I know you will. I'm not worried. And remember, next week, we're really going to pick up the pace. So this first 2 weeks has really been about like introducing you slowly into the world of game design with some good terms. You have a good base of like these basic terms. So you wouldn't sound like completely crazy if you went to a game design company. But anyway, next week we hit the ground running. So good luck on your quiz, and I'll see you next week in class.